Well, hi there, you beautiful souls. I have been missing you. As you who have achieved my newsletters know, I am taking a break from my daily doings because of the urgency I feel to get ready with my video dream course. But I really wanted to talk to you on an important subject. When waking up the other day, May 10th to be exact, I watched the pictures of my children and the one I have there of myself as a toddler, just like I do every morning. I started with sending love and gratefulness to them and to myself. And I added this old black and white photo of myself after coming home from my mom's place in the northern parts of Sweden in the beginning of this year. And as I have told you in an earlier video named Northbound, I had been there doing this really deep inner work that comes with going through and sorting all the things belonging to a long and creative life. And these days culminated in that kind of anticlimax that comes with literally being stuck with without being able to leave because there were just too much snow. So I was homesick and over myself because of the echoing emptiness that replaced what was my childhood home and the place where my mom had lived on after the rest of the family had moved out. So all that were left was boxes, dust and garbage bags and some furniture that had not yet been moved, like the bed I slept in my mom's bed in my old girl's room, and it was so strong and I really wanted to go home because I had worked with this in quite a deep way. But still the divine wisdom obviously wanted me to stay because this last night I found that part of myself I needed to be whole again, and this resulted in me putting up that photo of myself as this toddler. So when looking at that picture of myself, I thought about how easy it is to love a toddler. How one's heart really melts when looking into the endless universe of the eyes of a small child. Suddenly the most unexpected, considering the subject, name came into my mind. And that's a name of a very known player on the world map, known for both being a know-how when it comes to software and injections. And I don't want to say his name here since the censorship is kind of fierce these days, but the initial in his name is BG. Well, anyhow, when this name had popped up in my head, I just, yeah, this is how to do it. So lively depicting BG as a toddler, I felt love streaming from me to him, just as an experiment and not like I think he's the worst human on earth. But I know the importance of paying attention to my subconscious mind, which had obviously named him specifically. And maybe a little something having to do with deep resistance to specific injections had to do with it. What I know. Anyhow, then I thought about this very specific dream I had some 20 years ago. It popped up in my mind, so I thought that I would like to present that dream for you. And in that dream I find myself in a house where my task is to do some baking. And I have this stove ready and set on the table, and while doing this I am supposed to be observed by ancestors who both live there and have come because of this special occasion. They are all my ancestors, most of them being in spirit, and I wholly recognize some of them who are standing there quietly following my work with interest. And I touched the dough that to see if it has fermented enough. So, and I look in the cupboard for cups and stuff, and it all feels like a very important moment. So then the scene changes, and my love of that time, T, and I are in a building where a very dangerous creature with yellow eyes is said to be. And I'm told that this creature has been in a way human, or has been human, but has lost the human traits because of very much evil. So he sits half a step behind me, and he warns me about this creature and tells me not to look into its eyes by any means. And I'm sitting on the opposite side of the creature, and I feel this very strong and hateful resistance coming from it, but me myself overflowing with all the love that I have inside me. And I look straight into the eyes of this creature, and I feel how it continues without words to warn me strongly to continue to look into its eyes with love. And I just send back just as wordlessly that I can't help it. And I feel how I am completely flooded with love and how tears are rolling down my cheeks. And I look straight into the eyes of this frightening creature all the time. And the love I feel is so huge, so overwhelming, coming straight from my heart. And eventually the creature falls asleep against my chest, and I take it into my arms and carry it, rocking it like a sleeping baby. And now it has decreased in size, and the facial features have softened as well. But I know that I mustn't diminish this love that I feel, because it may then regain its hateful power if it wakes up, and would then immediately destroy me. But the love that I feel is so great, it's greater than the fear, so I continue to just rock it in my arms. Thereafter I just see a big picture of a different kind of sun. It's drawn with slightly wavy edges and with outer lines. It is very symmetrical and beautiful, and I try to counter rays. But then suddenly I become illuminated with this bright light, and then another sign is shown to me as well. And it is in the same way wavy as the sun, but it looks like an Egyptian ankh laying down on the side, and where the usual horizontal bar is are also two rays, one on each side, looking like arms, and finally there are two legs instead of the vertical one only. So then I have this understanding about that T symbolically is to be understood as someone named Ariel, who has a hard time to enter a sun gate that is connected to or symbolized by the signs, because he's afraid to cross the threshold. So this is a tough one to understand, but before baking this together, I want to ask you one thing. Have you ever seen the movie Natural Born Killers? Well, I went with T and a few of his friends to the movies, and actually it was like kind of the worst I have ever seen. I felt physically sick, I cried and panicked. I wanted to leave, but it was a long way to the car to walk alone in the dark, so I endured, angry with myself because I had agreed on following, even though I intuitively knew it was a shitty movie. And I promised myself to never ever watch a film with a given theme of violence again. But as a matter of fact, there was this one thing I brought with me from that foul study of violence, and that were these words: the only way to kill a demon is with love. And this is true. I know that since I have actually made that horrible experience of facing a demon. And this was, for obvious reasons, one of the scariest things I've experienced in my entire life, and I have experienced a lot. I will not go into a detailed description of the whereabouts of this demon encounter, because then it will be a very long story. So I will save that for later on. So when trying to find a way to get out of the reach from this horrible creature, I remembered the dream above. And this encounter took place some 5 years after the dream, so the memory of how I felt in the dream, that overwhelming love, was kind of fresh, and I had nothing else to try. The fear was already all over the place, so I just surrendered. But I surrendered into that love. I did connect my heart chakra to the most reliable, loving person I could come up with. My husband of today, who I had just recently met at that time. But we had all since the start been doing these energetic exercises that came back to us kind of naturally. Since we started triggering memories from our common ancient lives from day one. He wasn't aware of what happened on a conscious level, and I couldn't by any means let go of my focus on that horrible presence and call him in the middle of the night on the phone to explain in a quick and understandable way. So I connected him the way we always did, and he was there with me on a spiritual level, helping me through this with love, strengthening my love that had to be stronger than my fear. And boy, did it work. Sending that strong love towards the demon made it implode just like that. And again, there's a long story to this, more to be said to show the greater understanding of what happened and why, but I will save that for later, as said. But the bottom line here is that this kind of love is the cure of every kind of evil. The unconditional kind that doesn't demand right deeds to keep flowing, and the introduction of the dream showed as well kind of an initiation, that it was a test where I had to prove that this was something that I could master. The initiation was overseen, and when passing the test, this sun gate scenario came up, which leads me to the crucial solar storms we are experiencing since a while now. And you who have signed up for my newsletter, and again, I'm so sorry for having to put that on ice, but I have a hard time keeping up with all the work with this dream course of mine, and as well the worldly goings on. Anyway, you may remember that I have said things about what's called niyama, the energy coming from Sirius, the uncompromisingly strong cleansing energy that can almost make you feel like being completely eviscerated and dried out of all sense of normal human life, as we know it until now as well. This beautiful transforming celestial water coming from Sirius B through Sirius A, flowing through our sun, has been affecting us for quite a while now, step by step softening and introducing us to the transformation we must undergo. And now this energy has been pitched up and is thrown over us in the company of major solar flares. And these big ones may seem scary, just like T/Ariel in the dream was afraid to cross the threshold of the sun gate. Cleansing celestial energy in shape of solar flares are incredibly scary. Just as scary as facing a monster who will destroy you if you keep looking at it with love. But do not fear, because what happens will strengthen you. It will remind you of the fact that your heart is the vessel for all the love you need to change whatever you need to change. When you let love overcome fear and welcome the uttermost initiation that is taking place now, the solar storms will be the ignition needed to activate your light body. The stronger the solar winds are, the stronger you will become. And the more loving you will become, the stronger your light body will start to shine. The ancestors symbolizing in the dream, the saying, "We are the ones we have been waiting for." And remember, Jesus said that we did what he did, you will do too, and also greater things. So this is the time, dear ones. It's time to start shining. So back to giving love to that inner child, and back to Mr. BG for a while, because that same evening, as I had this aha moment and remembered my dream about the creature, I watched the latest show by a very wise and high-frequented man who I appreciate very much, and he happened to mention BG and the fact that he seems to be falling from grace, and that there may be a repentance on its way when it comes to him, BG. And then I thought to myself, wow, then he will really need that love. And if he is still going on like always and nothing of this happens, he will really need love anyhow. So in that beautiful meditation following that show, I made that into a session where I gave love to Mr. BG and to other individuals only having money and power as their inspiration. People I have had kind of a hard time to love, actually, in an unconditional way, simply because I have been afraid that they are on their way to destroy the entire planet and all life. But of course, nothing is overcome by fear and contempt, and this I have obviously known, but there has been something inside me wanting to solve this through rational solutions, making them change their minds, forcing them through proofs coming from the good side. But the truth is that only love can kill the demon. That the evil creature becomes a baby when love is poured over it. Yes, severe and honest love, not falling down on the face love, prostrating oneself to stupidity love. The unconditional part has nothing to do with letting the monster destroy you or letting the demon overtake your body, but it has to do with knowing that the love you feel is so strong that it masters every situation and overcome all dangers. So this love, my dear ones, is to be found within all of us. It is nothing that is exclusively given to a chosen few. It's your birthright. Choose yourself and start with giving yourself love as that little baby. Preferably put a photo of yourself as a toddler on the wall and begin feeling how beautiful and worthy of all love and protection you are. Then start to transform also the antipathy you may feel for someone else, and transform the picture of this person to a defenseless and perfect little baby. And look into that baby's eyes and let your natural born empathy and love step forward. Don't start with the hard ones, but start with cases you can handle without an overwhelming feeling of pain. You don't have to transform monsters into babies. You just have to imagine nasty, impossible and grumpy people as being babies. Do this every day and I promise you that we will turn things in the right direction. The thing is that we have forgotten that dualism is a tool for us to learn from mistakes and to grow, because we need the initiations. Simple as that. Because otherwise we wouldn't remember who we really are and why we are here. And the worldly goings on is a result of cleansing and the turmoil coming from it. All will actually be well, so let your inner love come forth and welcome the presence of your light body. And before calling it for today, I just have to tell you that I had this song on my mind for quite a while and I just couldn't remember the name. And then I had a dream about something I couldn't remember as well, and I couldn't even see what I had written down, half asleep. At least not until using my cell phone a week later to magnify those hieroglyphs of mine. And then I saw that the words were "Let there be love," which happens to be the title of the song I had on my mind. And many of you know that one, it's performed by Simple Minds. So the message was simply, let there be love. So let there be love, dear ones. Bless you, I love you all, and I will get back soon with a video digging into the subject of niyama a little deeper, you know, that energy we are exposed to and that decreases every day. So stay tuned, and bye for now.